The parade ground fell silent as Sergeant Martinez watched the new recruit limping across the asphalt, her uneven gait drawing snickers from the other soldiers. "What do we have here?" he barked, his voice cutting through the morning air like a blade. "Looks like they're letting anyone into the army these days. Can't even walk straight and thinks she can serve her country." Private Sarah Chen kept her eyes forward, her jaw clenched tight as she took her position in formation. The limp was barely noticeable to most, but Martinez had an eye for weakness. Or so he thought. "Chen!" he shouted, marching over until he was inches from her face. "You think this is some kind of charity case? This is the United States Army, not a rehabilitation center." The other recruits shifted uncomfortably as Martinez circled her like a predator. "Look at that pathetic walk. How are you going to carry a wounded soldier to safety when you can barely carry yourself?" His words hit like physical blows, but Sarah's expression never changed. She'd heard worse. She'd survived worse. For weeks, the torment continued. Extra push-ups while the others rested. Kitchen duty when everyone else had free time. "Maybe you should consider a desk job, Chen," Martinez would say with a cruel smile. "Something more suitable for your condition." The word condition dripped with disdain every time he said it, but Sarah endured it all in silence. During training exercises, she pushed herself harder than anyone else. When others complained about the heat, the exhaustion, the impossible standards, she remained focused. There was something in her eyes, a fire that burned brighter with every insult, every mockery, every attempt to break her spirit. The breaking point came during a particularly brutal training session. Martinez had made her repeat the obstacle course 5 times while screaming about her defective leg, for all to hear. As she collapsed at the finish line, gasping for air, he leaned down and whispered, "Face it, Chen. You don't belong here. You're a liability waiting to happen." That night, in the barracks, Private Jackson couldn't take it anymore. "Sarah, why don't you just tell him? Why don't you just—" But Sarah cut him off with a sharp look. "Some stories," she said quietly, "aren't meant to be told. They're meant to be lived." The next morning brought news that would change everything. Martinez burst into the barracks with unusual excitement. "Listen up, maggots! We've got a special visitor today. Colonel Davidson is coming to inspect our unit, and guess what? He specifically requested to meet our diverse recruits." His eyes found Sarah immediately. "Chen, you're going to be front and center. Try not to trip over your own feet." As the unit assembled in dress uniforms, Sarah stood at attention despite the familiar ache in her leg. Colonel Davidson was an imposing man with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much war. He walked the line of soldiers, shaking hands, asking questions. When he reached Sarah, something extraordinary happened. The colonel stopped dead in his tracks. His eyes widened as he took in her face, her stance, the small scar barely visible above her collar. "My God," he whispered. "Private Sarah Chen, 3rd Infantry Division, Afghanistan, 2019. Martinez stepped forward, confused. "Sir, I don't understand." "Sergeant," the colonel's voice was ice-cold authority. "This soldier single-handedly saved 12 lives during the Kandahar ambush, including 3 men from your old unit." Martinez's face went white. While under heavy enemy fire, she crawled through 50 yards of open ground to reach wounded soldiers trapped behind enemy lines. A mortar blast sent shrapnel through her left leg. Shrapnel that's still there, by the way. But she didn't stop. She dragged those men to safety one by one. The parade ground was so quiet, you could hear hearts breaking. Colonel Davidson continued, his voice rising with each word. She was awarded the Silver Star for gallantry in action, the Purple Heart for wounds received in combat. And you know what the citation said? He turned to face Martinez directly. It said she moved with such determination and courage that the enemy actually retreated, thinking they were facing a much larger force. Sarah remained at attention, But tears were streaming down her face now, not from shame, but from the weight of memories she'd carried alone for so long. The screams of her fellow soldiers, the taste of dust and blood, the choice between her own safety and their lives. There had never been a choice at all. That limp you've been mocking? Colonel Davidson's voice was a thunderclap. That's the mark of a hero who gave everything to bring other soldiers home. That's the walk of someone who faced death and didn't blink. That's the stride of a warrior who embodies everything this uniform represents. Martinez stood frozen, his world crumbling around him. Every insult, every cruel joke, every moment of humiliation he'd inflicted came rushing back like a tidal wave of shame. The other recruits looked at Sarah with new eyes, not seeing weakness, but witnessing strength they'd never recognized. Sergeant Martinez, the colonel's voice cut through the silence like a judgment. You will apologize to Private Chen. Then you will report to my office where we'll discuss your future in this army. Because anyone who can't recognize a hero when they see one has no business training them. As Martinez stammered his apology, Sarah finally spoke. Her voice was steady, clear, carrying the weight of earned authority. Sergeant, I didn't come here for recognition. I came here to serve, just like I've always served. The only difference is, now you know why I walk the way I do. It's not weakness. It's a reminder that some things are worth fighting for, no matter the cost. In that moment, Private Sarah Chen transformed from victim to victor, from underdog to inspiration. Her limp wasn't a flaw. It was a badge of honor that told a story of courage most people could never imagine. And every step she took from that day forward echoed with the truth that heroes don't always wear their medals on the outside. Sometimes they carry them in their hearts and in their scars and in the quiet dignity with which they serve.